Today I'm going to be teaching you all how to tapestry crochet. So grab your hook and 2 different colors of yarn and let's get started. 2 colors I'm using today are gonna be purple and this like brown red color. This is the tapestry that I'm going to be showing you guys. I love SpongeBob. A few things to keep in mind for like a beginner friendly tapestry is something that's 2 colors, something that's 50 squares or less across because it'll work up a little bit faster. If you have ADHD like me, it'll be a quicker route to instant gratification. Each square on the grid is a single crochet. Count how many squares you have. Each of these squares is going to be a single crochet. I have 36 squares across. I've made 37 chains, 36 chains plus 1 turning chain. And you'll have the amount of squares in your grid plus 1 chain. In your beginning chain, I would make it just a little bit looser. Now that I have my 37 chains, in the second chain from the hook, I'm going to put 1 single crochet and then I'm going to single crochet down all of my chains. So then I'm just going to have 36 single crochet at the end of this row. This actually is how it is like mapped out for you to crochet. It's like if you turned it on its side and you just worked down it. I just wanted to clarify if anybody is trying to follow along with this specific tapestry. Finished my 36 single crochets. Also, a good way to gauge how big your tapestry is going to be. This is how tall it's going to be, and then it'll be like long across. So I have my first color change in my second row. So I'm just going to show you how to change colors. Finish our first row just like this. To start the next row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. I'm going to do a different method than I did in the first one. This is color A, the working yarn. This is color B, a floating yarn. I'm going to insert my hook into that first stitch, just like that. Lay my color B across right over the top of my working yarn. Pull through the stitch with the working yarn and finish my single crochet. So the fact that we tucked that color now like secured to the work, it's not just hanging around. For this method that I'm doing today, I am going to be working over my floating yarn instead of how I did last time where I just dropped it and then picked it back up where I needed it. But if you were wanting to make like a pillow cover or a blanket or anything that's going to get messed with, then you can follow this method because I'll be working the yarn in, so you won't be able to have those loose strings on your wrong side of your work. It'll look the same front and back. So I'm just going to be working over my yarn. The stitch before you have color change, that's the stitch where you're going to change the yarns, not the stitch of the next color. So this is the last stitch of the color B that I am working. I'm going to pull up a loop, just like I'm going to do my single crochet, and then I'm going to drop that yarn, pick up this yarn. Color B, or the yarn, the floating yarn that I was using. Pull through to finish off that single crochet. Now our working yarn is color B and not color A. Go into our next stitch with color B, do a single crochet. So we're always working over the yarn that we're not using. And I'm just going to do color B till I get to the next color change, and then I'll come back to you guys. So I am on the last stitch before my color change. You just want to make sure that the front side of your work is where you're trying not to show the yarn you're working over. There probably is a better chance of it looking more polished if you have a front side and a back side, just because it's hard to hide the yarn that you're working over. Now that we're at this color change, I'm gonna do the last stitch of color B by pulling up a loop there, and then I'm going to drop my working yarn, pick back up color A, and pull through. I'm just going to keep continuing on with single crochets, now working over color B instead of color A. At the end of the row, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. I'm about to do my color change, so I insert my hook and pull up a loop, drop the working yarn, pull through with the color that you weren't using just a second ago. And now, instead of picking this up and working over it, I just leave it there. I finish my round, chain 1 and turn. I have this sticking up out here, which is the right side of the work, but I will show you what we will do. In the next row, it looks like we do 2 stitches of the background color, part of 2. We don't finish that one, remember. We drop that from the front of the work, pull
through with color B. And as you can see, that left a little mark on the front of the work. You're going to keep working your single crochets and working over your background color. But when you make your first single crochet, I just want to demonstrate that I did my single crochet over this little line that I just made. And that is actually how the alpha pattern tells you to work all of the end of the rows. So now I am on the wrong side of my work. The last stitch before my color change, insert, pull up a loop, drop the yarn, pull through with the yarn that you're carrying over. This is the front side of my work. Drop that yarn in the front, continue working the background. So now it's coming out of the front of the work, and also you won't see it on the sides here, but it might be a little bit trickier for beginners. So if you want to just work over all of the yarn that you're not using, then that's also totally fine. Starting on the third row, and I have my color change on the third stitch. So in the second stitch, I'm going to pull up a loop. Now I'm going to take color B and pull up a loop there. It creates a little line, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to look. So in the next stitch, I'm going to insert my hook. I'm inserting my hook over this little line, not under, and then pull up a loop and then pull through. Now you have that little line that looks like that. So just going to keep crocheting with your color B, and I will show you when I get to my next color change. It's how they present it to be done on like the website bracelet book that I'm using. The stitch before my color change, I'm going to insert my yarn and pull up a loop, drop my working yarn. This time, instead of pulling it behind, I'm going to drop it in front because this is the front side of my work and I want it to stay on the front side. So then I'm going to pick up my floating yarn, and then instead of carrying this yarn, I'm just going to do the last few stitches of my row, chain one and turn. As you can see, this is hanging out in the front now. This is the right side of my work that I'm working on now. I have one stitch of the background color before I get to my next color. Insert, pull up a loop, drop your working yarn, leave this working yarn in the back because remember that's the wrong side and this is the right side. Pick up your color B, which you'll be picking up from the front. It'll be kind of pulling on the front. Use that to pull through. So then once again, that creates a little line. Go into your next stitch and remember, carry the yarn that you're not using, pull up a loop, and do a single crochet, and you just have that line on the front. Now that I've shown you a couple color changes, I'm going to go ahead and finish up my project and I'll show you the end result.
Yeah!
To show you guys the finished piece. It says no weenies allowed because it's SpongeBob themed, you know? And I put it right next to the other tapestry that I did. I think they're both so cute together. I'm very excited to fill my walls with so many more tapestries. I have some ideas cooking. If you liked the tutorial and you were able to follow it, let me know how yours turned out. Let me know what colors you used. I would love to see. If you liked hearing me yap or teach you how to make this tapestry, then follow my page for more because I'll be posting more. So we can all serve. All of our rooms can serve. It's Pride Month. My birthday's coming up. You should like the video and follow me because my birthday's coming up. So I think you kind of have to. Otherwise, you're a bad person. You guys have an amazing rest of your day. Bye!